Now, Postbank says all outstanding SASSA grants have now been paid. That's after over 500,000 beneficiaries were unable to access their funds at the beginning of the month due to what was called a system glitch. Postbank says the process of reversing funds into all affected accounts has now been completed. It says some people tried to defraud the system as well by attempting to receive double payments. Let's unpack the story further. Postbank's spokesperson, Dr Bongani Diako, it's great to have you with us on the program. Thanks for joining us. I suppose let's begin with some developing news insofar as the Democratic Alliance's assertion that, in fact, no, not all grant beneficiaries have received their payments. What's Postbank's response to that?
Good morning, Michelle, and good morning to the newsroom viewers. From our records, Michelle, we can certainly confirm that all the beneficiaries that were impacted by the payments issue that we experienced on the 5th and the 6th have been paid.
The assertion as well from Postbank, Dr. Diako, that some beneficiaries tried to get double payments of their grant payments. It leaves a bit of a bitter taste, doesn't it? Because it gets you a sense that there's a deflection over the way that beneficiaries have been treated as a result of this system glitch, how their dignity was impacted, and now to turn around and say that actually some of them also tried to defraud the system.
Yeah, Michelle, it's not a deflection at all. It's an unfortunate development that we picked up as we were transacting the reversals, as we were paying back the money into the beneficiaries' accounts. Obviously, the anticipation on our end was that we dealing with almost 100% genuine cases, but amongst those, we then picked up that there are people that have submitted queries that they haven't been paid, and when we checked on the system, we then identified that they had actually been paid. So it's not a deflection, it's more an education issue to the public at large, that at times like this where we're experiencing challenges, when then illegitimate inquiries come through, they do clog up the system, blocking the access for those that really have genuine issues for their problems to be addressed. So certainly not a deflection, but a fact that we picked up as we were processing the transaction.
Dr. Diako, the Department of Social Development, Linda Wasulu, the minister, has said that, it's unfortunate that many grant beneficiaries had to go into debt because, of course, they depend on that money to come through at a particular time, and that they would have to bear that debt, that the department wouldn't come forward to try and help alleviate what would be considered perhaps by most people as a small amount of money, but to grant beneficiaries is a lot of money, 20 or 30 or 40 rand to try and get back home after you've not received your grant, which was due that day. Is Postbank also not going to come to the party in that respect?
Michelle, we regret really having gone through this challenge and having put the SASSA beneficiaries through the experience that they've gone through. It was certainly an unintended consequence of Postbank upgrading its systems and moving into a more compliant banking environment as part of our journey to acquire a banking license. The Reserve Bank has actually instructed us to have a system that is on par with that of the other banks in order for us to really effectively service the SASSA beneficiaries. Obviously, at this point, we are happy to report that we have been able to work around the challenge that we experienced and have reversed the money in all the beneficiaries' accounts. We will have a sit-down as Postbank to look at all the post-incident impact, including the system itself and all the variables, and any developments that come out of that will certainly be shared.
Dr. Diako, this issue with the payment switch software, which is what I reckon is being referred to when you talk about the system glitch, right? It's not a new issue. In fact, Ground Up recently being given court documents describing this issue going back as far as 2018. Would that be accurate?
So, at the heart of the matter, Michelle, is that as far as 2018, we had entered into a relationship with the provider of a payment system. Now, over the period, that system had really been a challenge, and there were issues. Around December, for an example, we had gone through a cyber incident on the same system. So this migration that we are doing now is actually solving for the future. We are moving into our core banking platform that is on par with the industry to really deal with all the past issues once and for all.
Because, does it feed into my next question, I suppose, which is whether Postbank is up for this job, Dr. Diako, in a context where the livelihoods of so many grant beneficiaries depend on us getting this right. There really is no room for error, or there shouldn't be.
We are absolutely up for this job. Certainly no room for error. Postbank really is intended to service this market, Michelle. The SASSA product that we've got on the market is a tailored product that's subsidized significantly to ensure that the beneficiaries enjoy some free transactions and they get all their funds when they're transacting on our platforms. So we are geared for this job. It's a perfect match between us and the beneficiary profile that we serve as a market. And like we are saying, we are investing for the future because we don't envisage post the changes that we are making that we will experience similar challenges.
So the company that supplies Postbank with the software, which it uses to make these payments, Dr. Diako, is Electronic Connect, or it was Electronic Connect, right? And there's been a lot of litigation between Postbank and Electronic Connect, but I understand you've now appointed a new service provider. What is the status of Electronic Connect and its relationship with Postbank now? Because, it is a review of that relationship, a court review of that agreement between Postbank and this company yet to take place? And what are you hoping to get out of that review?
So yes, Electronic Connect has been the provider of the system we've been using, and we are moving now into our core banking system. The marriage between Postbank and Electronic Connect is obviously regulated by the contract arrangements that we've got in place with them, but the future means going forward we will no longer be in any relationship with Electronic Connect. We will be paying the SASSA grants via our core banking platform. So the matters before the courts are the courts for them to decide according to their timelines when those issues are being resolved. But it should interest the public and SASSA beneficiaries that the payments issue that we experienced on the 5th and the 6th has got nothing to do with the court processes that Postbank has been involved with Electronic Connect. Some of those cases go back beyond even the period of the recent payments.
But can you say that the glitch was as a result of migrating to a new system? So part of moving away from Electronic Connect?
Certainly, it's a post-migration issue that when we did our checkboxes, we hadn't anticipated it will affect us and the general SASSA population in the manner that it did. But we got to the bottom of it and we've resolved the issue. Actually, the issue was resolved on the 6th. So it hit us on the 5th, and on the 6th, we were able to identify what the problem was. Now, what we then had to contend with, which then had an impact on the ground, was reversing the funds into the beneficiary accounts, which unfortunately took longer than desirable.
What is the amount per transaction that the new service provider would be receiving, Dr. Diako?
I don't have those details on hand, unfortunately, Michelle, but if it's something that is of interest, I could go back and get them for you and share them with you.
And then in terms of what the department had to say about, a penalty being placed on Postnet, if indeed this does happen again, what have those discussions been between SASSA, the department, and Postnet, and what would that penalty entail? Do you have clarity on that?
Oh, Postbank. Yeah, no. We are in daily contact with SASSA, because of the nature of the business we've got with them, and our relationship with SASSA is regulated by a master service agreement that was ceded to Postbank from the post office, which was responsible for the payments of the grants. So anything that is done going forward following the incident is what will be regulated by the master services agreement. And like I said, it's a post-incident conversation that the parties will sit down and go through.
Dr. Bongani Diako, let me thank you for your time this morning. As we said, it's an incident that caused a lot of damage to the dignity of recipients, left thousands of people in the lurch as they waited for their grants. And we do hope certainly that it doesn't happen again and that those checks and balances do come into play. Postbank spokesperson, thanks for joining us this morning.